Hey everybody, Ingra Spartan here from Southbridge Street Live, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we have banded together with CASA, Golden Crescent CASA of Victoria, for their annual backpack drive. Now I know it's summertime, so this is a crazy time to be thinking about school, but for organizations like CASA, they need to gather materials and supplies for children all year long. So this is it for the next couple of weeks. On Southbridge Live, you're going to see that some of my guests will be bringing in backpacks themselves. If you also would like to donate a backpack or school supplies, you can come by our studio at 1102 North William Street, or you can call me at 361-649-1825, and I'll be happy to come by, pick up backpacks and supplies to help support our local Golden Crescent CASA. Hello everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Southbridge Street Live. Now this is really special because last night we had a cancellation, so we had an opening for a guest, and by happenstance, and I love the way this works, we had someone contact me that said, you know that there is a new school that is opening up in Victoria. And so today I'm here with Stephanie Nalls. You are the founder and director of Futures Academy.
Yes.
And I'm super excited to have you, and how incredible. So this will be like an actual, I'm gonna ask you questions because I know nothing about this, but I'm really excited because I understand the potential for this school. So it's just 6th grade through 12th grade.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming, Stephanie. I'm super excited. And
Thanks.
I love that you said yes this morning. It worked out perfect.
Yes.
I was like, hey, that's awesome. So let's start with founder. Okay. Because I want to ask you, what was it that brought you to a tipping point where you said, I really want to open a school for kids?
I was working in a different education environment, and when I was ready to leave, because it was just time for me to go, a lot of parents were coming to me saying, where are you going? We want to go where you are. We want our kids to be with you.
Wow.
And I just had so many that I thought, I'm qualified. I know what's needed. My own kids have been through homeschool, public school, private school. I am a certified teacher.
Right.
So I was just, the door was open, and how could I not?
What is going to set Futures Academy aside from other faith-based schools in our community, outside of the fact that it's just 6th through 12th grade?
Yes. One of the main things is who our students are.
Okay.
We truly cater to the trade school bound students. Not everybody is going to be a doctor. Not everybody has a business of their parents to fall in line with. My own son is going through a program that we have a partnership with at Victoria College that's an industrial trades program.
Right.
So that we do what we can to prepare them. If we've got kids who are going to college, then we go ahead and get them on that higher reading level, those higher math levels. We do something called the IDEA plan. It's the individually designed education achievement plan.
Wow.
We interview kids. What are your goals? What do you love? What do you feel like your gaps are? What has been your experience? We have kids who come to us with anxiety disorders from the tests in public school. We have them that come to us with family traumas, that they just being in school is just too much.
What about school trauma?
And school trauma. So many come to us with bullying. I had a girl say, are there stairs? Do the stairs get crowded? And for me, that was a strange question, but it was horrifying to her. And I don't know what that experience was, but we're able to say, you don't have that here.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
We have a lot of people with learning gaps who, kind of got behind maybe in junior high math and never really caught it again. Let's catch up. If you're going into something like HVAC or building construction or those kind of things, let's make sure you can read a ruler. Let's make sure you can write an invoice. Let's make sure you can handle an interview. Those kind of things. We prepare them for the real world.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just immediately went into this question, which is, Do you give community members an opportunity to come and do speaking engagements and
Yes.
things like that with the students?
I ask every parent, what do you do for a living? Because no matter what you do, it's a
Right.
potential career for our students. And I would love to have them come in. We have colleges come in and speak. And yes, anybody who is interested, anybody who needs workers in their field. One thing I like to say is our graduates are your next employees. And
see.
so I would love for you to come in and tell them, hey, here's what we need. Here's what we need you to know. Here's what we're looking for. You know, maybe this is for you. Come talk to us. A lot of kids today don't realize what all is out there. You know, a lot of people think I have to go to college and don't know what I want to do. Or, you know, my dad's a welder. I've got to be a welder. My mom's a hairdresser, so I'm going into cosmetology. We want to open that field up for them to have more options.
Right. And I know plenty of people who are college educated, absolutely, and really looked at a catalog and still had really truly no idea what was out there, far reaching, far more than the
Yes.
catalog itself. And so I think that that's incredible that you are able to, you know, work with students to say it's not really like a one size fits all. And there is a
Right.
huge push, I have to say. I feel like just in some research that we've done nationally for people to step back and say, okay, listen, we've really got to work on what our future employees
Yes.
want out of their education in high school. So this
Yes.
is right at a great turning point, I feel like, for American education
It
to
is.
say we've got to start really looking at these trade skills, because so many trade skills are now, quite frankly, and I'm sure that you've heard this too, where there are a lot of students who graduated in trade who make a very substantial salary
Yes.
because there's not a tons of master carpenters and tons of master
That's
electricians
right.
and master welders. And so there's sort of a, you know, a tipping point and a change for that as well.
There's
so you're
a
right on the
yes,
cusp.
and there's a trend
Yes.
right now where all those masters are retiring.
Right.
And the
Well,
ones coming in, they're the helper. You know, they don't have the training to be a journeyman, to be the next manager.
Right.
And so we're looking for those kids, the kids that want to work and have the background to move up. And they've shown the willingness. And so, you know, you bring a kid like that on board at 18 or 19 years old, and they're managing and doing very well on their own by 21. And that's exactly what we're trying to build for this generation.
So because I know nothing about this, where's your
Yeah.
school located?
We're at 2208 Leary Lane.
Okay. Hey everybody, Ingrid Sparkman here from Southbridge Street Live, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we have banded together with CASA, Golden Crescent CASA of Victoria, for their
It's a true setup on
certified
its own
and
school.
ready to
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So kind of tell me about, I want to go back then again to this journey because I love
Sure.
Founder. I just think that that's fascinating.
Yes.
So you knew that you had some students that wanted to come with you.
Yes.
You knew that there was a need
Yes.
for students who might have anxieties and quite frankly, there are brilliant
Yes.
students who are just brilliant people who are welders and electricians and those kinds of things.
Yes.
But I do understand about the testing anxiety and things like that.
Yes.
So what was your next step? Because you've now got a true school. So take me
The
back.
next step was I had to back up and say, am I ready to get into this? I've never owned a business before. That was not my background. Just to sit back and say, okay, realistically, can I do it? Can I come up with the money? Can I find a place? Do I have enough people? Do I have the teachers
Right.
to be able to do this? And once I decided I did, I just started putting the word out to those people. And also to the teachers. And, you know, Facebook has been my primary platform. You know, word
Right.
of mouth is the best thing you can do.
Right.
And so one person has just shared it with other people, and I've gotten contacts from those, and we've gotten some kids enrolled. It's July, so it's a little slow, but that's okay.
Right.
We expect a mad dash here in the next month. That's what happens.
Can I ask you something? Let me interject
Sure.
something. I'll probably be doing that throughout the whole interview.
That's
'cause
fine.
I've got so many questions. But what about homeschooling? And let me ask you
Yes.
this too. Do you take homeschool students?
We do.
Okay.
Technically, all of our students are homeschool
I
students.
see. Okay, that's where I was going with that.
We are an LLC. We're a for-profit corporation. And so basically homeschooled students, parents hire us to provide their academic program.
Okay.
Now we do also offer something that to my knowledge no one else in town does, and that's drop-in classes. If you're a traditional around the kitchen table homeschooler and say you're your child has gotten into high school and chemistry's not your thing,
Right.
or that whole research paper and Shakespeare
Sure.
and stuff is not your thing, you can bring them to us for that one class. We also offer sign language, which is getting very
Wow.
popular.
Yes.
And so you can actually come in and drop in for that one class. So you show up, Tuesday and Thursday at 11 o'clock, you take your class and you leave. In that case, there's no enrollment fee. You pay obviously a much smaller tuition. It's a per class tuition.
Wow.
And so, you can drop in and take up to 2 classes without being fully enrolled as a student at Futures Academy.
Up to 2. And so give me a little bit of what a school day is going to look like for an average, let's say, 6th grader.
Okay. So for junior high, that's a really unique environment. It's kind of a one-room schoolhouse.
Okay.
We have 2 different days. We have the kids that are mostly 6th and 7th grade and the kids that are mostly 7th and 8th grade that come and do most of their classes in one classroom. And then we do pullouts for special reading lessons, for special math help. The kids who maybe didn't quite get it the first time it was presented. Let's pull out and work with an aide or another teacher or a student who really gets it. And let's work together with them. So we have an assembly in the morning with pledges, prayer in the morning, whatever announcements need to be made. And then they go to their classroom. They start with journaling. They have science where she's going to do a lot of labs. She'll be using the high school lab room even. So it's an experience that a lot of kids that age don't get.
Yes.
We, of course, have lunch on campus. And then in the afternoons, they relax a little bit. They have some downtime. They have some reading time. All grade levels have a special tutoring or independent time that they work to get started on their homework or come back to the teacher and go, hey, this morning, that lesson you taught, I'm confused. And to work with them that way. And then, of course, get ready and go home for the day. Our hours are 8 to 2:30. And our schedule closely matches VISD as far as calendar. So, if you've got siblings that are in public school or things like that, then you still have the same times off.
What about for an 11th grader?
For an 11th grader, we do have the one-room schoolhouse for English and history. Science, you do pull out, and her labs are just amazing. I was with her this morning and watching her get set up, and the stuff she's doing is just out of this world. And I even told her in one case, if I had learned chemistry like that, I'd probably know chemistry today.
Right.
So
that's
I'm
really
looking
cool.
forward to that.
Because I'm going to assume, too, that you're picking teachers, or these teachers are coming in who have a true passion for
Yes.
alternative teaching
Yes.
for alternative students.
I
Types
have
of
3
learners.
teachers who together have 90 years of experience. And, they remember teaching when you and I were in school, and it was different. It wasn't test oriented. It was
Right.
learn the material and let's make
I
it
see
so
your
that you
point.
understand
Right. They're
it.
not teaching, as I've had, and I have many friends who are teachers that say, the problem now is that we're testing to the test.
Yes.
We're teaching to the test.
Yes.
And we've forgotten where we started was the
Yes.
basic hands-on, skills that they need to, truly absorb that particular subject.
Yes.
Not just through the test taking.
Right. And rote
Through the
memorization.
senses, yes.
Learn your multiplication tables. Learn the preamble to the Constitution. Those things like that we did that today have just kind of fallen by the wayside if they're not on the test.
Sure, and I think for a lot of faith-based families, for having the prayer is another thing that is
Yes.
very, important to them as well.
And we do offer an actual Bible class that fits everyone no matter what your level is. We have some kids who will come in and look at me and go, do I have to take Bible? I don't go to church. And then we've got kids who could teach that class better than I could. We've got a full range there, and we want everyone to be comfortable and everyone to learn the principles. You learn the principles of love and justice and compassion and forgiveness and acceptance. And those fit almost any faith. So even if Christianity is not exactly where you come from, you would still be welcome because we believe all the same things
Right.
as far as principles.
I see.
I'm starting off the year with a What is the Bible course, which I didn't know until I got to college. Where did it come from? Who wrote it? Why is it important? So those things we're including as well.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
One of the other things that you said that I wanted to touch base on is I think a very unique opportunity for students is to teach other students.
Yes.
How incredible that is, that maybe particularly you don't have a great aptitude for math, but you have a really strong hold on the English.
Yes.
How utilizing students to help teach that just reinforces for them as the
Yes.
teacher a sense of leadership, a sense of responsibility.
Yes.
And then also to the communication
Yes.
between student to student at that same age level can sometimes reach students who have, a multitude of learning styles, which I
Yes.
just think is underutilized, I think, sometimes within the school system as well, is students as resources.
And I'm not a sixth grader. I don't know what it's like to be an 11-year-old today.
Right.
And so if I teach it in a way this child can understand, but this one doesn't, they're peers.
Right,
Maybe
exactly.
this one can explain it in a way that I'm not able to reach them.
Right.
Why would you not utilize that? I think it's a great opportunity, and for the teaching child to also build some confidence. Maybe they're feeling kind of lousy because they're not math strong, but when they're English strong, they can learn, hey, I don't have to be an expert in everything.
Right.
We all have strengths and weaknesses.
What about mathematics like budgeting and, normal financial, daily finances? Do you
Yes.
guys teach mathematics in that way?
We do. We're offering the Dave Ramsey personal finance course, and that one is very popular. That is one we're offering, but then we're also including something called Adulting 101.
Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
that is going to teach
Adulting one-on-one. I love it.
My
I know
own
many,
daughter
many
graduated
people,
saying there's a lot of stuff I didn't know that I should have learned in high school. You see the jokes. I know the Pythagorean theorem. I've never used algebra, but I don't know how to say turn on my electricity in my new apartment.
Right.
I don't
Exactly.
know how a car loan works. I don't know how to write a resume. So we're doing that real life stuff. Some of the writing does include a resume, a cover letter, a letter of resignation, an
Right.
obituary. Things that we as adults have to write in our real life every day. And the math is the same way. Do the budgeting, figure out how much your paycheck is going to be, how much taxes are taken out. Is it worth it to buy the insurance?
Sure.
Yes.
The importance of saving, and if you
Yes.
don't have the cash for it, maybe not get the loans, as David Ramsey is.
That's
as Dave
right.
Ramsey, is known for.
Yes.
Right. How to create this budget. That's incredible.
We throw a little home ec in there too.
Really?
So, yes. So we've got some cooking, some sewing. Everybody ought to be able to sew on a button.
Okay, all right. So for just a second, I have to tell you this because I don't know how many women who are in my age group who find it so interesting that through the years, our parents
Yes.
and then our parents' parents sewed everything.
Yes.
And for some women, even my age, we've lost the art of being able to just sew on our own buttons.
Yes, or hem pants or a
Right,
skirt.
exactly.
Yes.
Hot glue is the
Is
we
the
say,
go-to.
look at all of these lost arts and how
Yes.
important cooking is
Yes.
truly for your family.
Yes.
And the maybe perhaps I might be interjecting too personally, but I'm saying, what is it like to cook and prepare a meal for your family, but the opportunity for families to come and sit down?
Yes.
Again, because I've read some staggering statistics about how very infrequently
Yes.
families are able to sit down for a mealtime.
And it's extremely valuable to be able to do that, not just for the union of the family, but that's when you discuss problems. I
Right.
had a hard day at school and this didn't go well, or I'm struggling with this at work, or my boyfriend or girlfriend and I broke up, and I'm kind of down today.
That's right. You're
Those kind of
absolutely right.
things.
Those
That's
things that
when
you
we get to know
discussed.
our
Right.
families, and you lose that because we're all stuck on that screen so much of the time.
Now I'm gonna go into what about for the 12th grader who's looking at looking either at college applications or at trade school applications or looking for jobs. Where do you see Futures Academy in so far as helping that student take the very next step?
It's absolutely customized. So if we're looking at a student who is going to Victoria College and wants to be a dental assistant, we're going to go to VC and say, what do you require? Do they have to take the TSI? What classes do they need? How much math do they need? How much English is involved? Or is it none of that and we need to make sure they get a really good biology? What kind of things do they need? And then we help prepare them for those. If they have to take the SAT, ACT, TSI, or anything else, let's get them prepared. I have some students coming who say, I took all the TSI and I didn't do well in the math. Let's find out what those gaps are. We take a placement test, and so we can look and go, oh, you're not doing well in fractions. Let's get the fractions figured out and everything else will come together. And so we're looking at those things for those people. And so for the kids who are going directly into the workforce, and even the ones who aren't, Let's get those interview skills. Let's get that resume on point, which is hard to do when you've never had a job. So let's make sure you know how to shake hands. Let's make sure you know how to introduce yourself. How do you sell yourself to an employer? How do you dress in a job interview? What are they looking for? So those kind of things, we prepare them for whatever their next step is.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, as a side question, do you see a trend with students who are having troubles in one particular area, one particular discipline?
We do have a lot of kids that struggle, of course, in reading and math.
Okay.
Science tends to come a little easier because it tends to be easily hands-on.
Right.
You know, when you see it, hear it, talk about it, and touch
Sure.
it, you've covered all the modalities.
Because you've utilized the
Yes.
multiple intelligences
Yes.
there. Yes.
And history is a lot more straightforward. There's not a lot of analysis and figuring things out in history. So those two things don't have a lot of trouble. English, a lot of people say, why do we have to study Shakespeare? You know, why do I need to know this ancient poetry from old men, you know? And we touch on those things, but, you know, poetry is not something we use a lot in today's world. So you expose them to it, you get them to see that it's out there, understand the value in it, because maybe you do love it. Maybe you're a poet. We want to make sure you have that experience. But the real world stuff is where we see that they're lacking. You know, they can all send a text in 3 seconds flat, but when it comes to sit down and write a letter to someone, they're lost. You know, getting that thought from their brain onto the paper and doing it correctly is pretty difficult. We also find, especially in math, that they're very good at narrowing down answers. You know, they can immediately eliminate some things, but up to you get to a certain point and they're kind of lost. That it just breaks down because in public schools, and this is not the fault of teachers, you know, any teacher would do it their own way.
Right.
But just the way public schools work today is you have to rush. You have so much information to cover. And so the kids who don't get it the first time, you just fall off the tracks. And those are the kids that we want to bring in and say, where did you get stuck? Let's pick you up there and pull you forward.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. What are some of the most frequently asked questions that you get from the community?
Some of the ones we get are, well, you know, the basic questions. What time does it start? How many days a week do they go? That's one unique difference is the kids come 2 days a week. You either come Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, depending on what classes you're taking and your age level.
I see.
They do get a real diploma. It is a homeschool diploma when they graduate
Which is
that their parents will sign. Everybody.
Right,
In the
exactly.
state of Texas, it's just as legitimate as any public school or accredited private school.
Thank you for clarifying.
We are not accredited because we are not, even though it's called an academy, we are not technically a school. We're an education program provider. Our students are homeschooled, and so the rules are different.
Right.
Our attendance requirements are different. A lot of parents don't know anything about homeschool. They're coming to us from a public school environment and say, I don't know what that means. What do I have to do? I keep all the records for you. I provide you with a record of what classes they have completed and their grades. We do get real report cards. And when you finish, that real diploma does go with you to any college, any job, and stays with you forever. So that's one of the big questions that they have, especially among the high schoolers. The junior high wants to know, do you teach cursive? Yes, we're teaching cursive. That's one thing they always ask. Questions about lunch, you know, can we have things delivered? We don't like to because it's disruptive. So mom and dad can bring you lunch or you can bring your own. But that's also teaching responsibility. It's your job to make sure your lunch gets here every day. And if it doesn't, you have to handle that problem.
Wow.
So we teach a lot of responsibility there and, you know, teaching kids to handle things on their own and know when to ask for help as well.
And then what about for community who are just very inquisitive about, wait, there's this new style of school that's opened in Victoria.
Yes.
So what are some questions that you're hearing from the community parent-wise?
It is a little different. People are very concerned about that 2 days a week. How do you get it all in? Those other 2 days they have homework, and it may be a lot of homework. There's, you know, there's reading and there's projects and there's writing and things that they do, but that's where the homeschool part really matters. To get that done on their own and then to be able to come in another day and do that.
I think it's interesting too. Like let's go into some really quickly some homeschooling myths. Well, let's debunk them. What homeschooling looks like. I've seen a really hilarious meme where it's like what homeschooling looks like, and everybody's still in pajamas and laying around. But I think one of the things that I wanted to address with you is, of course, it's interesting that students who might have issues in different public school systems or in larger, academic arenas, they're actually quite proficient and even faster in their duties and their required duties to create to finish assignments when they are left to their own devices.
Yes.
That you're not procrastinating. It's not lackadaisical. Homeschooling
Right.
is not lackadaisical by any shape, form or means.
Right.
Correct?
Yes. And I've been a homeschooler as well. And to do it well, you have to be organized.
Right.
You have to be disciplined. And yes, we do sit around the table in our pajamas, and it really does look like that. And, things that happen in your life, we take those things and say, oh, this is our lesson today. Say there's a family of birds that has built a nest on our porch. Well, today we're studying birds. We're going to find out what it is and what they eat and when their babies will be born and those kind of things. And so we're also going to do that at Futures Academy. If there's an event going on in the neighborhood or in the community, or if a certain family is going through something, those are things that we want to talk about. Bring that out and let's have that conversation. Also, you're right. They do very well on testing when they start to get into college. And a lot of homeschoolers do keep grades and they do very well. It doesn't have the stigma that it used to.
Right.
When I was younger, people thought those were the weird families. And now they're not. More and more families of all backgrounds, all beliefs.
I see, because it was just so
it was so strange.
Right, I see what you're saying.
So unusual. It was like, oh, they're isolating their kids, and that's not the case anymore. It's actually very common, more and for many different reasons.
Right.
Many do it for their own religious reasons. Many do it for political reasons. Many do it. We have a lot of kids who are involved in rodeo and 4-H and programs like that, and they just miss a lot of school.
Right.
And when you're in a public school and they're moving on without you and you've got to turn everything in, that's hard.
Right.
So if you do it with us and say, hey, we're going to be gone for a week. All right, here's your work for a week. You can work on the road. You can work in the hotel room. You can not fall behind. And we don't count that against you for being involved in something else that interests you.
Because it was hard, I think, for parents at one point in time to say, listen, my kid found this skill set. Let's say rodeo.
Yes.
This was an incredible skill set, and it's going to take them through life. And this is something that they're very passionate about.
Yes.
But then had to choose not doing it because of the academic pressures.
Yes.
So that's sort of from where I discovered where homeschooling was. So I never considered it weird. I thought it was incredible that there was an opportunity for parents to, for whatever their reasons were, educate their children at home while they continued to. And how cool is that? I mean, I have to say, to go out and say, here's a bird's nest. Let's get on a ladder, which is not necessarily something that you can do in public school. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't get the kids on the ladder. Those kinds of things that just have happened over time.
Yes.
That have made, the school systems difficult for teachers and for
those natural learning
as well.
environments are hard to come by.
They really are.
Yes.
They really are.
But yeah, that's the standard today for the homeschoolers. And they do it in every different way imaginable. Some of them do something called unschooling, where we just kind of do it as we can, and it doesn't matter what time of day, as long as we all get it in there. And then there are others who say you're up and you have breakfast and you're at the table working by 8 o'clock. And in some cases, mom actually teaches like a teacher, where we direct teach. And in other cases, it's a computer program or it's workbooks or those kind of things that are a lot more independent for the kids. And you find that as they get older too, once they're able to manage their time and things like that. So it's the same intense work. It's the same high standards that we want them to achieve. It's just that the standards are catered to each child. Not everybody needs calculus. Not everybody needs physics. That was not something I needed. I was a good student and I wouldn't have passed physics if I had taken it. It's not for everybody.
I know someone who has a physics degree and says trade school is incredible.
Yes.
I mean, I absolutely, see that. They own a business and they say, where are craftsmen? Where are journeymen?
That's right. That's right. We're missing those because, kids just don't realize that opportunity is out there.
Right.
They feel like they have to work in fast food, or they have to, just sort of be some sort of helper or always start on the bottom rung. And that's not true.
And sometimes learning disabilities or anxieties and things like that there's sort of a public stigma, and that's not true at all.
Right.
Some children who are diagnosed with ADHD happen to be some of the most brilliant leaders that we have in our society today.
And then we try to force them to sit in a chair for 8 hours a day and be quiet.
Entrepreneurs, and I mean, Einstein is a great example, probably the perfect example to that as well.
That's true. And you have people like Jay Leno who read and talk for a living, and he has dyslexia, and so we also teach them that, that's a real thing and you have to deal with it, but it can be dealt with.
Right.
It's not a label that should hold you back. It's a label that you need to learn to use to your advantage.
Wonderful.
And we love that in those kids. Some of those kids are the most outgoing and have the greatest ideas because they think outside the box.
Right.
Those are a lot of fun, and we love it and welcome those with open arms.
That's absolutely amazing. I'm so glad for our community. I'm very, very happy for you guys as well. So tell me about registration.
Okay, registration is going on now. We're not keeping regular office hours until we get our phone and internet set up.
Sure.
But hopefully August 1st, we will have all that done and we'll be in the office. But I will meet you up there anytime. You can find us on Facebook. We do have the website, futuresacademyvic.com.
Perfect.
And so you can contact us that way. Registration, there's an enrollment fee of $500, and that's due up front. Tuition, we're also running a special right now. If you enroll by the end of July, you get $500 off tuition, and it can be paid out over the year. You can pay it all at once, however you need to, and that covers pretty much all of your books. If you do a drop-in class, there is an additional fee for books, but it covers all of your books and most of your supplies. Students want to bring their own notebook and pens and pencils and that kind of thing, but the protractors and the calculators and the markers and the plastic bags and Kleenexes and all that kind of stuff that you tend to be asked to provide in public school, we do all that for them.
Okay, great. Is there anything that we haven't covered?
The only thing I think I would like to mention is our teachers.
Okay, yes, let's take some time to talk about
We
teachers.
do have, like I said, the 3 retired teachers who are coming in that have been VISD and Goliad ISD teachers that are well loved and well known. I don't know if they'd want me to name them, but I'm naming them right now on Facebook.
Okay,
so
cool.
you can find them there. We also have our sign language teacher has been the sign language interpreter for VISD. I myself, as the director, have been a public school teacher, private school principal. I have homeschooled. I've kind of hit all the dynamics.
Right.
And I teach the English and government. We do teach the 4 cores plus the Bible. Our Bible teacher and also the Dave Ramsey program teacher is the former leader of Salvation Army here in South Texas. Yes. And she's an ordained minister, so we have that on staff. And we've got some other teachers who have done other things. They've been, she's a nutritionist. She's a personal trainer. Right. And our math and science teacher comes highly recommended from the homeschool community. She is even offering her homeschool classes with us. Wow. So those homeschool kids will be able to come to our campus and take their classes on a Friday. Right. So yeah, we've got a big variety there of people with lots of different experience, lots of different personalities. We're very much a family. We fit together very well in what we're doing. And, we go to each other and say, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me figure this out? Or what is your thinking on this? Or, hey, I noticed you did that. Can you tell me more about that? So, we are lifetime learners as well. So we learn from each other and hopefully give that as an example.
And what a fantastic environment for teachers to be in.
Yes.
Where the conversation can be, what do we do with this? And how can we do this versus, are we ready for this? Do we have this test ready?
Yes.
That's right. Imagine for them that's very exciting for them too, to be a part of this.
It is
this new school.
I watch them change when they come in and say, what about this? Do I have to do this? And when I say, no, you don't have to do that anymore. They're like, oh, it's a whole,
you can actually teach.
Yes, I want you to teach the way you know how to teach. You've been doing this forever. You know what the kids need. Do that. I trust you and I trust your experience and I want you to use it. Right. So that's one of, obviously my greatest asset is the people that I have involved. Yes. And they're very excited. They're happy to be with me and love our day.
And they're getting ready. Too. Everything's getting ready, right?
We are.
You guys start, the first day of school is August the 19th?
August 19th is our first day of school.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for doing this, for bringing this incredible, alternative to, to Victoria. That's amazing. And I wish you guys all of the luck in the world.
Thank you.
And, to shout out to them, thank those teachers for,
I sure will.
for taking this on. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And get ready for the school year. I love it.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you guys so much for watching Southbridge Street Live.